Cunnisty, how ye? Welcome to the Candlelittales podcast. We are breathing life back into Irish myth, and this week we have a story of the death of Roi Mac Daire. My name is Aaron, and I'm one of the co-founders of Candlelittales, and this week is very special because Oisín, our producer, is telling this story, the death of Roi Mac Daire. We're starting off a series of death stories, and we're very excited this month to be doing more death stories than ever before. It's not all grim though. Stay tuned because, as always, we'll be talking about this story on Sunday at 7 p.m. Irish time. If you'd like to join in those conversations, you can go over to our YouTube channel, Candlelittales, which also has a Candlelittales playlist for kids, and subscribe to the channel so you can be alerted to when we go live with the live post-show chats. As always, we can't do these podcasts without the support we get from our Patreon page. Thank you so much for everyone who supports us. If you'd like to support us, you can go to patreon.com/candlelittales. Also, liking and subscribing and sharing and leaving a review if you like what we do helps out a lot. But without further ado, take it away, Oisín, and listen to the death of Roi Mac Daire.
In a lost valley up in the Livemusic mountains, there's a lake, one of those portal lakes that leads to the other world, and once every 7 years a salmon appeared, and sat beside this lake was Cuchulainn, one of the greatest warriors of the Crave Rua, the Red Branch of Ulster. You see, inside this salmon, Roi Mac Daire, the Hound of Munster, had hidden his soul to protect himself from any injury, and until his soul was released by the death of the salmon, Roi Mac Daire himself could not be killed. Cuchulainn had encountered the Hound of Munster many times before, once when he had trapped the intoxicated Ulster men in a metal house and tried to burn them alive. Another time when he had invited Cuchulainn down to Keepherlit, and Cuchulainn saw the enchantment. He saw the walls spin around all night, and he saw monsters come out of the sea to attack him. Another time, he met Cú Roí in disguise as a churl when Cú Roí came to Ulster and demanded a warrior chop off his head and then lie still so he could chop off their head in return. But none of these were the reason why Cuchulainn was waiting for this salmon. No, it was a raid on Ulster when Cú Roí had stolen away Cuchulainn's lover Blathnait and brought her back to Hegartys and kept her captive. As he thought about this, he could feel the hound starting to bay within him as the battle rage started to cause his blood to boil, just as his eyes started to bulge out. He felt a familiar hand on his shoulder. His charioteer and long-time companion Ulaid knew of Cuchulainn's strength, but he also knew of his weakness. Cuchulainn was not patient, and Ulaid, as he had done many times before battle, had set up a game of fichel to distract Cuchulainn whilst he waited. It had been a year since Cuchulainn had been a guest at Hegartys when Cú Roí had left Blathnait to entertain and be the host. While they were there together, they made a plan. Blathnait, through flattery, had gotten Cú Roí to reveal the secret of where he had hidden his soul, and the time when the salmon would appear. It was at this meeting that Cuchulainn had learned of Roi Mac Daire's search for the Fíor Fir, the truth of all men. He had learned that Cú Roí left Ireland every night and enchanted the fortress to spin around while he searched for the Fíor Fir, to return in the morning to relax. Every morning Blathnait would greet Cú Roí. She would bathe him and she would listen to his stories. She would listen to the tales of his travels. She would flatter him, and eventually, through this kindness and flattery, Cú Roí revealed the secret of his soul hidden in the salmon. She told Cú Chulainn of how she had convinced Cú Roí to build a tower with one rock from every part of Ireland, and that the Craobh Rua, the Red Branch warriors of Ulster, could use this as cover to approach Cú undetected. Blathnait told Cú Chulainn that on the morning when all was ready, she would pour milk into the river as a signal for the Ulster warriors to approach. And on that morning, when Cú Roí had come back from one of his many travels, after she had bathed him and brushed his wild red hair, she asked him where was his sword, for all the other warriors she had ever known used the sword. Cú Roí answered that since the age of 7, he had always entered battle with an axe and a rock, and not bloodied his sword in Ireland. Suddenly the door to the tower burst open, and 4 times 20 of the Craobh Rua, the mighty warriors of Ulster, flooded into the room as waves crashing against the mighty rocks below them. Cú Roí leapt from the bed, and a savage battle erupted in the tower. The giant hound of Munster dashing the warriors of Ulster as if they were children from the walls and the ceilings, crushing their heads with his mighty rock. But the Craobh Rua, they were many, and they continued to flood and pound and cut and fight and slash and batter and kick. But it wasn't enough. Cú Roí, the Hound of Munster, annihilated this wave of warriors. They had inflicted many wounds on him, though, and as he sat panting in the corner, a shadow filled the door. Cú Chulainn entered the room. He had a wet calf skin held in his hand, a horrifying calmness about him. And as Cú Roí looked up, Cú Chulainn drew out the salmon that Cú Roí had enchanted with his soul and slowly ripped its head off. The Hound of Munster now looked up with fear and terror in his eyes, and he looked towards Blathnait, for he knew that she had been the one that had brought about his end. Cú Chulainn, then, the Hound of Ulster, with all the anger and hatred and resentment, he walked over to Roi Mac Daire and cut his head off for the last time. Fíor Mná, the king of the Ulstermen, entered then, and he saw Fíor Mná, the poet of Roi Mac Daire, and he asked Fíor Mná to tell him some stories of Cú Roí, to sing the praises of his master, surely to immortalize him in the tales of myths. But Fíor Mná's heart was broken at the death of his master, and he could not bear to sing any more praises or any more stories of Roi Mac Daire. Fíor Mná asked, "What of Blathnait then?" To which Fíor replied, "She is looking out over the sea, first day as a free woman in many years." Fíor Mná made a dash for Blathnait then, letting out a scream of anguish such as had not been heard on a battlefield for many a year. He grabbed her so tightly that he crushed her ribs and flung the two of them to their deaths on the horrible dark black rocks below. And as the waves crashed over and took them both back out to sea, Cú Chulainn wept for Blathnait. and Cú wept for the loss of Fíor Mná and the stories and myths of Roi Mac Daire.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. This podcast was produced and edited by Oisín Ryan. The story was by Oisín Ryan, and the music was by Oisín Ryan. Fair play to you, Oisín. He's been telling stories with us for a few years now, and it's just a joy to see him take this story and go with it. You can find out more about us on our website, candlelittalespodcast, and follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or whatever you like yourself, at Candlelittales. For videos and live streams, you can subscribe to our channel, Candlelittales, on YouTube, which also has a Candlelittales, which is just for kids. That reminds me, we'll be talking about this story with Oisín this coming Sunday, so subscribe to the YouTube channel to get the notification for when we're going to go live and chat about it. It would help if you subscribed or leave a review if you like what we do. Liking and subscribing to our channel really helps us grow and reach more people. And if you'd like to give us more support directly to us, you can chip in a few bob at patreon.com/candlelittales, or make a one-off donation through the PayPal button on our website. Stay tuned for more stories. Keep safe, keep sound, and look forward to the rest of the Death series coming later this month.